So the problem is that I kind of understood is that in every part of Pakistan, I would say Islamabad ke andar, I would say that Micronuke is leading us, right? In Karachi, in Shadman area, I would say that Hamad Bhai is leading us. In, let's say, we go towards Fighters Arena or something like that, another person is leading them. So the problem is that all players are following their respective leaders. They're not following one single person. अब मसला ये है कि अब FGC के अंदर there are so many leaders that everyone is following their leaders and not following anyone else's. जैसे अगर मैं,
Yeah.
for example, if I follow you, right? So I will do whatever you tell me. I will never like talk bad about you. I will talk bad about the others, but never bad about you.
Yeah.
So my loyalty is with you. My loyalty is not with my group, right? It's not with the FGC. My loyalty is with you. That yeah, you're the one who got me to the FGC. So whatever you say is how it works. तो यहाँ पे अभी भी ना वो कहते हैं ना शागिर्द और उस्ताद वाला सीन है अभी बेसिकली पाकिस्तान के अंदर.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to GameKheyl. I'm Naveed, and today we have someone who've created quite a bit of a ripple when it comes to the Pakistani gaming scene and the FGC community. This man has made us all proud, and this man is AMU, aka Ahmed Shahid. Sir, how are we doing today?
I'm good, fine, thank you. How are you, Naveed? I hope everything is fine on your end.
Absolutely, could not be better. I mean, when you talk about talent in Pakistan, this man is as good as it gets. He came in third in the GEG 2021, which was held in Singapore representing Pakistan. He is also going to mention a lot of things that are pertinent to the Street Fighter community in Pakistan. Other than that, we're going to discuss quite a few topics today. And for everyone watching, I believe there's a lot of things that would be covered when it comes to the Pakistani scene. In fact, there was a conversation that happened a few days ago where I actually got to talk to Abu a few days ago, and that was based on the conversation on how the Pakistani scene is, how it could be improved, and there was a lot of things that came out of that. Again, there were a lot of diverse opinions there. So I think we're probably going to continue with Silver Fox's call on that day. So again, Mu, it's an absolute pleasure to have you here. And to start off, first and foremost, again, I believe for you to be able to reach a certain point, there has to be a journey. There has to be certain milestones that you've set for yourself. What we are very interested in, and I'm pretty sure everyone watching this today at GameKheyl would like to know where you're from, what you've accomplished, and how's it going so far?
It's going pretty good so far. Actually, it was always my dream to pursue video games at the highest level. Even before Street Fighter, I was playing Defense of the Ancients 2 or काफी high level पे खेली थी, but at some point I got, I felt that there's a speed breaker and I just cannot overcome that because esports back then wasn't really something very, known in Pakistan. I'm like talking about maybe like 6-7 years ago. And it was not something that you could bring back home and discuss with your parents or with your friends and family and be like, oh, I just won a Dota 2 tournament. They'd be like, what is Dota 2? What tournament are you talking about?
Yeah.
And then we would go like, oh, we just won 10,000 rupees at NAST or GK or whatever. Oh, 10,000 rupees, that's nothing. You're wasting your time. So, these was like one of the, I would say the benchmark of all these speed breakers that like, there was no way going ahead, anything like that. Like even Dota, उस ज़माने में, even now मैं Dota की बात करूँ, so I don't think we're getting anywhere, to be honest.
Not really.
So, exactly. So
Yeah.
I stopped my Dota 2 journey and then I came back into fighting games, which I've been playing for a very long time. I started playing when I was like maybe like 6-7 years old. I remember I used to play with my father. He introduced me to Street Fighter 2 actually. And I used to play with him just for the sake of time pass or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But कहते हैं ना, there's some things जो आपके साथ पूरी जिंदगी रहती हैं, So I just jumped back into Street Fighter, and to be more specific, I played Street Fighter 5 a lot. I never played the previous versions as seriously as I did this one. So 5 की अगर मैं story बताऊं, there is this one player that I really enjoy following a lot. His name is Nemo. He is from Japan, and the way he played this game is something that really inspired me to get into it and try it for myself. Yeah, pretty interesting, but let's see how it is. So that is how my journey in Street Fighter 5 actually began, and I started playing just how I play. Just I have this thing that once I get into something, I want to be the best at it. It's just how I am. So I started playing like maybe 3.5 years ago, and here I am today. I'm trying to represent Pakistan and play at the highest level. So it's been a very long journey, like a lot of I would say a really good journey, but there were some problems here and there. But overall, I think it's been a very, very good journey overall, I would say.
Yeah, I think part of the thrill of a journey is the difficulties and the challenges that you overcome. And again, I believe for someone in Pakistan, especially with all the stigma surrounding video games, it must be very difficult at certain stages. Again, there could be pressure from the family, from the peers. Again, like you mentioned, there's not a lot of incentive playing games professionally, especially at the time when you were playing Dota. So
yeah.
I mean, if there were a few challenges that you could share with us, I mean, when you started off playing this game and when you really thought that you've reached a point where you could start competing professionally, so what were some of those biggest challenges that you faced?
I think the biggest challenge was having a good internet. Even back then, I had like maybe Natel at like the best package they had back then was like maybe I think it was 20 MB connection they get 30 MB था fiber के साथ दे रहे थे ये लोग. But अगर आप उस दुनिया के साथ compare करें, that is absolutely nothing. Like playing on a 30 MB connection is really nothing, to be honest. So the biggest challenge was getting a good internet and playing with the world, because there's a saying that if you play like in your locals, right? Let's say I'm playing in Islamabad only. So I'm only as good as Islamabad is good. I'm not getting any better. So in order to get better, you have to play with the world. You have to see how they play and you have to learn from them as well. So the biggest challenge was getting a good connection. जिसके पीछे मैंने बहुत ख्वारी की थी, and I'm very thankful to Natel actually. They actually listened to all of my problems and they really helped me out. And after that, when I got the internet, the next problem was to actually get good at the game. Because when I started playing Street Fighter 5, there were already a lot of pro players in Pakistan that were really playing at a very, very good level. So I was like a very young fish, I would say. I just jumped into the pond with all the big sharks, and then I had to get on their level as well. So it was pretty difficult. Plus, I would say I don't know if this is a trend in Pakistan or generally, but when a small player tries to approach someone who has really achieved a lot, they don't really give you, the respect that you feel you deserve. Or, they approach you in basically they approach you in a way where they feel that, they know everything, and whatever you talk about, you don't know what you're talking about. So I think like the second toughest challenge was to actually approach them and try to, have an argument or, anything like, just having general talks about the game with them. Like, hey, I want to get better. How do I get better? But they will never give you an answer that, you want to hear. They'll just keep saying, oh, just keep playing, or just keep playing. You'll get better eventually. So I think that was like the hardest part, to actually approach a group of people and to actually take knowledge from them and then, start building your own gameplay or something like that. So I remember the first person that really got me into this was Sakib Mirza. His gamer tag is MicroNukeX. He was the first Pakistani in Street Fighter 4 that actually went out and played game at the highest level, representing Pakistan. And even in Street Fighter 5, he has been competing for like a very long time. But, it's like I said, everyone has some problems in their journey or some difficulties that, don't allow them to actually pursue their hobbies and everything. So like me, he has a family. He has to take care of everything. He has to balance everything: his family, his business, his games. And it's at a certain point, he just stopped playing the game. So he really helped me, to actually get better at this game. Usually, look, I think jute pen ke aap, you start walking first. But with his help, I was actually just running the minute I got with the game. So he really helped me out. So that was like my second, hurdle, just, trying to get better or trying to find my footings. Like, how am I supposed to play this game? How am I supposed to apply all this time and train and do everything in this game? So that was the second hurdle. The third problem was probably my family, I would say, because I was investing too much time in this game. I was playing maybe, I don't know, maybe at times I wouldn't even take breaks for eating food. I wouldn't even take breaks to going to the washroom. मैं पूरा दिन सिर्फ खेलता था बैठ के, and my family would obviously get a bit aggressive that you're just wasting time. What are you doing? You're supposed to be pursuing a career. Because at that time, I remember I was already a pilot and I was working on my flight instructor course. I was becoming an instructor myself. So it was very hard to actually keep both things, going simultaneously and keeping my family happy at the same time.
Of course.
So I was not sleeping enough. I was not doing well in my class as well. I was not getting good grades. And, a lot of problems started piling up on one or the other. So I had to balance things out. So it was very difficult, I would say, to balance out time for my family, for my, my whatever I was pursuing that time and playing the game as well. So that was like my third hurdle, I would say. But I think this was the most difficult one because I had to, somehow, let my family know that this is something kind of important to me because even Dota was important to me. But back then I could not really, fully express myself that, hey, I want to play this game on a high level. I'm ranked like this in Pakistan. I've won these many tournaments, but it was very difficult to express myself back then. But this time I was like, okay, I need to express myself that, this kind of means a lot. I'm kind of growing at a very good rate at this game. I remember I was like, I played for like maybe 6 months and I won my first championship in Pakistan where everyone was playing the game. So I was like, I just want to pursue this game. I want to see how far I can actually go in this game. So just balancing everything out, sharing with my family what I'm doing, what I'm not doing, and stuff like that. So I think like these were the biggest hurdles. I think that everyone faces these actually: internet, family, and if you're in university or you're studying or whatever. So I think it's the same problems that everyone faces actually.
I think there's one thing that you touched upon, and that is the community and how it goes about supporting you. Because I've personally been a part of a community that has been branded toxic by people who are perhaps not that familiar or simultaneously has a reputation that is the notoriety basically precedes all the good things. So now the challenge, like the one you mentioned, is the support that you receive. If you have gamers jinka experience zyada hota hai, the ones who in their minds have reached a certain milestone, तो एक अनाबसी बन जाती है, एक अकड़ सी आ जाती है आपके सामने.
Yeah, exactly.
And now the problem is कि for me that I take issue with that primarily, and I'll tell you why. Because for them to reach that certain point, you have to stand on shoulders of the giants. So essentially आपने भी किसी की support लेके ही या किसी से ही क्या कहते हैं मशवरा करके getting the right advice, you must have gotten to a certain point. Now, once you're there, I believe it's responsibility of the person who has gotten there to then be a ladder yourself to the generation that's coming after you or the individuals.
Agree.
तो वो facilitation वाली जो selflessness है, जिसके लिए मुझे उर्दू वाला वर्ड नहीं आता जो कि बाबाकार in that call was repeating constantly. So I believe you need to have that. I mean, there needs to be selflessness. So when we talk about the community that is of Street Fighter 5 in Pakistan, so as a whole, I would want you to let us in how the community is. I'm sure if there for every bad egg that is out there, there must be someone who must have helped you or someone who has given you the right advice. So how is the scene and then your own experience in that?
If I okay, the thing is that I actually got into this scene about 3 years ago. The FGC in Street Fighter has been around for maybe 7 to 8 years, even more actually. But I was just really कहने कि मुझे 3 साल हुए मुश्किल just to actually get into this thing. The thing is that when you are a new person in a group, right, it takes time for people to actually approach you and talk to you. It takes time, and people are, generally, and not even just the FCC, but generally, if you're like a new person in the group, they will usually judge you on how you talk, on how you present yourself, and that will be your first and last impression. It doesn't matter if you're being good or bad. That's your impression as it is. So the FGC overall, I think they are really good. If I talk about the Street Fighter community, I think they are very good. They're very helpful. And they're very supportive of each other. And, it's like you said, there are some good eggs and there's some bad eggs as well. That's just everywhere how it is. But I think that 70% of the people in there are good eggs. because they have been around for a very long time. It's like I mentioned before that the FGC has been around for a very long time. And there are like a lot of senior players that are really well respected और लोग उनकी सुनते भी बहुत ज़्यादा हैं. I can give a few names like Saki Mirza. I was talking about him a while ago. Micro Nukex, Hassan Dagari. He's been a really like amazing player in the FGC. Even he has really accomplished a lot in Street Fighter 4. I remember he went out and he beat the Evo champ in casuals, and everyone was wondering where he's from. You know, is he from Pakistan? Where is he from? So he made a lot of waves back then. Then we have, you know, some really old veterans like, you know, Z-Lance, and we have X-Fighter PK, Amjad, who's also my partner when it comes to training. And like, there's so many people that have made like really huge ripples, but, you know, they have not been recognized for the talents, and, you know, they're just waiting and they're just, you know, helping out people just to get somewhere. So the FGC overall is, I would say, really good. And my experience, it's like I said, you know, when you are new in a group, your first impression and last impression really mean a lot over there.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I had a really bad impression in the FGC because because I remember that when I actually got into the FGC, I was already playing the game for like almost a year because of the rank and everything. The game had an amazing rank system back then, and I would meet all of these people with our flag being represented, like Pakistan. I used to wonder, like, where are these guys coming from? I never knew that there is an FGC or there's a community in Pakistan.
Yeah.
I remember my friend Javad. He added me into a group, the FGC group, and from there I started to know people. But I wasn't really, it's like it really actually like feel me stanky. Like, I'm a pilot, right? I'm kind of like used to people calling me sir, how are you, sir, and stuff like that. So it was kind of difficult. Yeah, exactly. So it was kind of difficult for me to at first to kind of, you know, get used to this. Like, log aapko bula rahe, wo tumhara kya haal hai? Theek ho, sab theek thaak hai. So I used to be like, yeah, maybe this is how it is, or maybe मैं बहुत आसमानों में उड़ रहा हूँ. I need to come down a bit. I need to be a bit different. So शुरू में थोड़ा सा, I remember थोड़ी सी हुई थी, like people used to call me that I'm very arrogant and stuff like that. I mean, I'm good, but I'm very arrogant, so that's not going to get me anywhere. So that was my first and last impression in the group. जो अभी भी at times लोग समझते हैं कि नहीं यार, he's very arrogant, but the people who are like very close to me, they're like, nah, he's not that type of person. He's like a very nice person and stuff. So that was like my first experience at the FCC. Then aista, like I mentioned, Saki Mirza, he really helped me out. Like, you know, ये इस तरह का नहीं है यार, बहुत अच्छा इंसान है, और इस तरह का इसकी गेम भी बहुत अच्छी है and everything so on. So maybe you guys don't know how it, maybe वो बात इस तरह करता है, like, you know, when he's typing, तो proper vocabulary इस्तेमाल करेगा, grammar and हर चीज इस्तेमाल करेगा. So it was a very funny experience, I would say, when I actually got into the FCC. But apart from that, it's like I mentioned, a lot of good players, a lot of good eggs, bad eggs, ये हर जगह होता है. And you know, बस उनके साथ चल रहा है. I've been with them for like a very long time, and what they have been doing is something that I want to do now. I want to bring everyone together under the same roof. कि हम एक साथ train करें, एक साथ आगे चलें, instead of, you know, backbiting each other. कि यार, if you're going ahead, let's go together, एक साथ आगे चलते हैं. You know, get better and, you know, get recognized in the world, because I honestly feel कि Pakistan की FCC, they're actually very talented. They just need the right motivation, the right, you know, कहते हैं ना, एक proper एक road को दिखाने की, यार आपने इस road पे सीधा आगे चलना है. So what they've been doing is something that I want to do as well.
I completely agree with that. Or basically, there's one very good quote from Africa. मुझे याद है. I think आपने शायद online भी कभी देखा होगा. And that says कि if you want to walk fast, walk alone. And if you want to walk far, walk together. So I think that pretty much encapsulates essentially what we're trying to do when it comes to the FGC scene here in Pakistan. Because again, ना कि सिर्फ अगर हम Street Fighter 5 की बात करें, the Tekken scene is on an absolute tear. We have some great players from the KOF scene. So I think with our powers combined, there's a lot of things that could happen. But again, it's a little difficult to have everyone on the same page. Again, आप एक नाम आप constantly ले रहे हो. Big shout out to Game1 Esports. They've been tremendous. They've been amazing. for the Pakistani scene for however long, and a lot of respect to them because there were a lot of things that I got to know about them very recently, and their contribution to the Pakistani scene worth its weight in gold. So again, a huge shout out to Kashif and Saqib for everything that they've done. Now coming back to the Pakistani scene, I mean, so when you talk about the gaming scene within itself, I mean, you see players popping out of nowhere, all of a sudden completely dominating the scene. Now, that indicates two things. First one is no secret that Pakistan is Wakanda when it comes to talent. And the second thing is the system here is absolutely broken because you have players who have potential to be world beaters, but unfortunately now the problem is, and this is essentially जो I would say the crux of the matter is, और वो ये है कि आपके पास कोई एक streamline या एक process नहीं है जिसके through you can constantly nurture that talent and bring them to the fold. Because I remember एक चीज पे हम दोनों का agreement हुआ था on that call that I'm mentioning Noshirwan की, and that is कि when you have players coming from impoverished backgrounds, unki grooming, the way they speak, the way they represent themselves, they have to learn it the hard way. Once they get to that point, they have to go through a baptism of fire. And वहाँ पे attitude problems, वहाँ पे financial management, everything becomes a challenge. And that ultimately affects the performance. So in your own experiences, what you've been able to observe in the scene as a whole, what do you think, where do you think the onus falls on? Does the community have to take certain steps? Is the esport representation जो basically authorities and जो इस चीज को facilitate कर सकती हैं, क्या ये उनके ऊपर onus है? Where do you think the buck stops basically?
Actually, this is something that we have been trying to solve for almost a very long time now. And this is something that I even raised with all of the seniors that we should unite as one. Like, because even now, agar main just talk about Street Fighter, the problem is that if we all like play in a tournament, right? Let's say like there are 100 people playing in a tournament, and there are people from all over Pakistan. Let's say there's Islamabad, there's Rawalpindi, there's Karachi, there's Hyderabad, Lahore, Faisalabad, Gujranwala, you name it, and they're playing over there. The problem is that if you beat someone, let's say that I beat someone, right? The next topic to immediately raise hoga bolega ki yaar aur Islamabad se har gaya. So it automatically diversifies that, you know, we are together as an FGC, but we are still so divided amongst each other that we say we are part of each other. But then why would you use this notion that, oh, Lahore lost to Islamabad, yaar, Islamabad ko nahi jeetna chahiye, jo marzi ho jaye is tournament ke andar, which I really hear a lot, to be very honest. That if I play I've played so many tournaments in Pakistan, and in every tournament I got to hear that, yaar, finals ke andar Islamabad aur Karachi hona chahiye, acha match hoga baat. And I used to get kind of pissed off कि यार, I mean, we are one community, right? हम लोगों को एक साथ आगे चलना चाहिए. Then why is it that we're, you know, making groups amongst us कि यार नहीं यार ये इसका ग्रुप है, नहीं यार ये पिंडी का ग्रुप है, नहीं यार ये इस्लामाबाद का ग्रुप है, नहीं यार ये शादमान का ग्रुप है, नहीं यार ये उसका ग्रुप है, and so on and so on. So the problem is that I kind of understood is that in every part of Pakistan, I would say Islamabad ke andar, I would say that Micronuke is leading us, right? In Karachi, in Shadman area, I would say that Hamad Bhai is leading us. In, let's say, we go towards Fighters Arena or something like that, another person is leading them. So the problem is that all players are following their respective leaders. They're not following one single person. अब मसला ये कि अब FGC के अंदर there are so many leaders that everyone is following the leaders and not following anyone else's. जैसे अगर मैं, for example, if I follow you, right? So I will do whatever you tell me. I will never like talk bad about you. I will talk bad about the others, but never bad about you.
Yeah.
So my loyalty is with you. My loyalty is not with my group, right? It's not with the FGC. My loyalty is with you. That yeah, you're the one who got me to the FGC. So whatever you say is how it works. तो यहाँ पे अभी भी ना वो कहते हैं ना शागिर्द और उस्ताद वाला सीन है अभी basically पाकिस्तान. तो इसको ठीक करने के लिए it's actually very difficult because not everyone respects each other. I know I shouldn't be saying this, but not everyone respects each other, and not everyone is on the same books as compared to others. Like if I talk about like our WhatsApp groups, we have like maybe 6 to 7 WhatsApp groups that are loaded with players. अब होगा कि एक ग्रुप की दूसरे ग्रुप के साथ नहीं बनेगी. तीसरी ग्रुप की चौथी ग्रुप के साथ क्यों करेगी. So there's a lot of
वहाँ पे एक ग्रुप की दूसरी ग्रुप पे गॉसिपिंग चल रही होगी.
exactly. तो it's like एक ग्रुप पे मेरे बारे में कोई अच्छी बात कर रहा होगा और एक ग्रुप में मेरे बारे में कोई गंदी बात कर रहा होगा कि यार ये पता नहीं किस तरह का प्लेयर है, कहाँ से आगे निकला है, फलाना धमकाना. तो
वही ना कोट एंड कोट इसको कहेंगे, इसके उठा रहा है, ये वहां पे जा रहा है.
exactly
Something like that.
exactly. So it's very hard to kind of like fix this thing. जो मैंने I think उस दिन भी बात की थी that we need one platform जिसके अंदर सब players हो आपके. It doesn't matter what their age is. It doesn't matter what they've accomplished. It doesn't matter what they are, कहाँ से आए हैं, कहाँ से नहीं आए हैं. If they're from like a rich background or a poor background, अगर उनको English बोलनी नहीं आती, अगर उनको उर्दू बोलनी नहीं आती, they should all be united under one platform. And I think like this is like the only way to actually, go together as a unit. So we try Africa wali baat hai, if you want to go far, you have to go together. It's as simple as that, basically. And which automatically leads me to my second point कि talent निकलता है. जैसे मैं कहता हूँ कि आप ग्रुप में 10 लड़के होंगे, हो सकता है एक लड़का बहुत अच्छा हो जो आई थिंक वर्ल्ड क्लास जाके खेल सकता है, बट ही इज गोइंग टू बी सराउंडेड बाय दैट मेंटालिटी जो आपके ग्रुप के अंदर है. He will never like expand himself. He will never get out of that कि यार मैंने किस तरह करना है, क्या करना है. जो उसको ग्रुप में सिखाया जाएगा वो वही करेगा, and that is how he will present himself बाहर जाके. तो वही आप वाली बात कि आप पता चले आप बाहर जाके अपने मुल्क को रिप्रेजेंट कर रहे हो, आपको बोलना नहीं आता, you have some attitude problem. So फिर ये चीजें वहाँ पे अराइज करती हैं आहिस्ता आहिस्ता जो है ये. तो I'm not talking bad about anyone कि अगर आप एक अच्छे like if you're from like a lower class family, middle class, elite, whatever it is, but ये चीजें बड़ी मैटर करती हैं on biggest stage, I would say, because you're not just representing yourself, you're representing your country as well. So that really matters. But how to actually solve this problem is something जो हम लोग भी बैठ के इस चीज पे डिस्कस करते रहते हैं. And we try like अगर मैं example देता हूँ, like at time, like Lahore is very good in video games, I would say. And I think like I would say that like Lahore की जो mostly जो residents हैं, they're a bit aggressive and they're like very कहते हैं उनके अंदर वो जज्बा बहुत है एक चीज का. तो वो जज्बा जब अपना explain करते हैं, it kind of अगले को लगता है कि शायद मुझे taunt कर रहा है. It's just how they are, मतलब even they don't mean it.
कोई banter culture है वहाँ पे.
हाँ, exactly.
आपको pressure देंगे वो.
Exactly. So even if they don't mean it, it just इस तरह वो अपना portray हो जाता है कि यार maybe this is how they mean. So I remember कि when our FGC tried to get along with Lahore FGC, there were a lot of problems in between. कि यार नहीं बनती, and at one point I was like यार just forget about it. I don't want to do this anymore. अगर बनती है तो ठीक है, नहीं बनती तो ना बने. It's perfectly fine. But even now we're trying that. We want to get every player under one roof basically, because the SFL community is very talented in Pakistan. Like they are very, very strong players. So I think if they are polished well, they can probably beat world class players very easily, I feel. But वही बात है कि if you don't get them under one roof, उनको आप एक mentality के through गुजारे, एक grooming के through गुजारे, it's very hard कि आप आगे जाके कुछ करें. So the answer to your question कि आप इस चीज को किस तरह ठीक करें, it is still something we're working on right now. Like even if you ask anyone, you ask Micro Nuke, you ask Hassan Nagari, you ask anyone about this in the SM scene or the clear for Tekken scene, वो सब आपको एक ही जवाब देंगे कि यार it's very difficult to actually bring them all together in the same boat, और हम एक ही बोट में आगे चले. बड़ा मुश्किल काम है इस चीज के लिए.
I think अच्छा मेरा ना, so my day job is basically an organizational development specialist. So मेरा ना वो वाला दिमाग एक्टिव हो गया थोड़ा सा. And I think there are a few ways we can go about it. And again, considering the fact आप community को बहुत अच्छे से जानते हो, I think one of the best ways to orient people and make them understand the other person is to increase the interaction. जितना आपका एक thriving local scene होगा, when you have players meeting one another, competing with one another, understanding each other on a human level, वो empathy तब तक नहीं develop होगी. And I think in order for you to support someone, मिसाल के तौर पे हम किसी को support करते हैं, तो there has to be a vested interest, और वो vested interest तभी develop होगा when you're familiar with someone, when you know them as humans. And again, अगर आप अपनी ज़ात से बालातर नहीं होते, and that's the word मुझे याद आ गया, अगर आप अपनी ज़ात से बेलॉस नहीं होते, unless you don't have that selflessness in you and you cannot open yourself to other people and to other opportunities, you are always going to close yourself down. And the problem is that either you're going to isolate yourself or you're going to create a certain level of toxicity in the community that again does not benefit anyone in either of the cases. So I completely agree कि I'm not sure कि एक platform पे बहुत सारे लोग एक साथ simultaneously आना is possible. However, even I really appreciated the fact that when you got the success that you did, all of the FGC community in Pakistan came to your support. However, my issue is कि हम wait क्यों करते हैं कि बंदा successful हो? Why don't we recognize the potential and then go for the support?
The
Okay,
problem
I'm sure
is,
that there are a lot of
yeah.
people who would go and represent and inshallah do better and build on what you already accomplished.
The problem is that एक तो hierarchy system आ जाती है automatically इसके अंदर. And I think this is something very normal in Pakistan. If you are something, you will get recognized. If you are nobody, no one's going to recognize you, regardless of how
True.
good you are. अगर मैं अपनी एग्जांपल देता हूँ, there was a point where I felt that I am really good, but I never used to express it. I used to express it in the game, like the way how I used to play, मैं aggressive खेलता था, लोगों को taunt करके मारता था, whatever it was. Like it was like to show that maybe I am level for the next step. But like was time I remember even with my accomplishments in Pakistan, everyone used to be like, oh ये तो सिर्फ यहाँ का player है, ये बाहर जाके क्या कर लेगा? The only reason he's winning is because he's spending like 19-18 घंटे लैबिंग कर रहा है, बैठ के चीजें सीख रहा है, बैठा रट रहा है चीजें बैठ के. That's the only reason he's actually good in this. I mean, it's just
I think that's actually someone gets better by practicing. I think there's no other way around it, to be honest.
so it's just how a specific mentality actually works. Now the thing is that the support is always there. Even if the support was not there, I still would have gone out there and given my best, regardless if the FGC likes me or not. But since like my aim was like मेरा शुरू से हमेशा एक aim रहा है that I want to be the best and I want to bring my FGC ahead with me. I don't want to show that I'm good. I want to show that hey, जहाँ से मैं निकला हूँ, जिस जगह से मैं निकला हूँ, they are really good. So it's not just me you have to worry about. You have to worry about these guys as well. So I think like this message is something that actually got to them somehow. Like even though I never expressed it, but it's something that they understood because of the words that I mentioned in the group when I was actually going to Singapore. That hey guys, I have some good news. Okay, I'm really happy to tell you that I'm actually going to Singapore. I didn't get any good positive response. I kind of understood why. Because a lot of people were like, "Yeah, it's an opportunity मिल रही, हमें क्यों नहीं मिली?" and stuff like that. Like, it's something very natural. Like the jealousy factor is always there. But even like when I kind of understood that I'm not really getting a positive feedback or I'm getting like negative remarks or negative vibes over there, मैंने फिर भी I kind of portrayed it in a way that I'm here because of you guys. It's as simple as that, and I'm going to represent you guys and our country. So if I win, it's not a win for me; it's a win for all of us because I came from this place. I came from within you guys. So after like from there, I think they kind of understood that this guy is actually doing this for us right now. And that is where I actually got immense support from like almost everyone. Like everyone was messaging me when I reached the way that hey, all the best. आपके साथ हमारी दुआएं आप जीतोगे इंशाल्लाह जाके. And I was like, wow, I was like really pumped up that okay, this is like a really good step that we're actually moving together as a unit right now. So that was like that feeling when everyone is on the same page as you. कि आप बाहर जाके you're not doing something for yourself. You're doing something from the group where you came from. That is like a really good feeling, and that is something that even they felt when they were watching me play on the stage. Like every win was like a win for them. Like they used to get hyped up. Yes, you get ये चीज शाबाश लड़के. मतलब पीछे से messages आ रहे हैं यार amazing. बहुत मजा है देखने का. So that is something what I always wanted to achieve. But अगर मैं अब hierarchy की बात करता हूँ पाकिस्तान के अंदर, like the only reason now I'm getting support is because I am somewhere, right? अगर मैं इस point को पूरा घुमा दूँ यहाँ पे कि I'm getting all the support right now because I am somewhere, but I was not getting any support when I was like just sitting in Pakistan and winning local tournaments. ये तो बस ठीक है यहाँ जीत सकता है. So you can look like at this thing both ways. Like अगर मैं hierarchy की बात करता हूँ, तो it's like kind of like a negative way to look at it. और अगर मैं दूसरे तरीके से बात करता हूँ कि hey guys, I'm representing you all, so everyone gets hyped up. So either ways, like people are getting hyped up. अगर आप hierarchy के थ्रू चलते हैं या अगर आप इस तरीके से चलते हैं. So back to you, like what you were saying कि regardless of like क्या भी system होता है कि आप जैसे बात की उस्ताद शागिर्द की बात करता हूँ इस चीज के अंदर जो है ये. Like I would say my the person who taught me everything is Micro New Kicks. So he was like really hyped for it कि यार ठीक है मतलब मेरा अपना ही लड़का बाहर गया है जीत रहा. My training partner was very excited that I went out and actually played with everything. So automatically everyone got excited इस चीज के पीछे. Because why? Because they support MicroNukeX, because he's a very well-known figure. Like Game On Esports has always been like a very well-known figure in Pakistan when it comes to like fighting games. So if anyone talks about Game On Esports, the first person that comes to mind is MicroNukeX, Zelance, Zulkanan Bhai, with the legend we were on the call the other day, and a lot of people. But जब लोग इनको support करते हैं तो automatically आपको support करते हैं. So इसका like it's a very difficult I would say it's something very difficult to actually explain the FGC how it actually works and what they are thinking. Very honest. तो ये चीज कहना कि यार मतलब आपको support करते हैं या support नहीं करते, it's very difficult to kind of understand what they are thinking right now.
Yeah, I think the way to sum it up would be organized chaos.
Yes. Yes, exactly.
Okay, again, I think for Pakistan, I think it's a very, I don't even know how to explain the Pakistani mentality. हम लोग एक दूसरे के गलों पर होते हैं throughout the year. लाहौर कराची को नहीं हरा सकता, ये इसको नहीं हरा सकता. If something happens, let's say a major catastrophe somewhere in Pakistan, एक घंटे, एक दिन, एक महीने के लिए सब भूल जाएंगे. We'll all work together. We'll all come on the same page. वो मसला हल होगा, फिर एक दूसरे के घरों पे आ जाएंगे.
Exactly.
So, yeah. It's mysterious, it's weird, it's unorganized, but it works. Somehow it all works.
It just works. It's very hard to explain. I'm telling you, I was surprised by the amount of support I was getting. I was like, wow, even this guy supporting me. I was like, wow, amazing. यार चलो ठीक है, चलो इसी बहाने के बाद उसको दोस्ती तो होगी यार, ये भी ठीक है सारा. So it's just how it works. It's very hard to explain.
Acha, so building on that, I mean, so you went to Singapore, you got the success that you did, and overnight there was a lot of coverage. There was a lot of eyeballs on you, and you got some coverage from the local media. You got coverage, बहुत सारे top level players, including Arslan, Ash, recognizing you. So, what were the first 48, 72 hours like for you once you came back?
To be honest, it wasn't something that I have not felt before. Arslan has always like pushed me, okay, you can do it. I remember at one point when Arslan started playing Street Fighter 5, he always used to push me that, yeah, you should go out and play. And I used to tell him that I'm not ready for that right now. Kehte, just trust me, just go out and play. You're very good at this game. The way you like play the game, the way you understand the game is amazing. You should go out and play. So he has always pushed me from beginning. I remember he even pushed me to start streaming. He pushed me to play even more. He pushed me to play seriously. I remember he हमेशा पीछे धक्का मारता था कि यार तुम बाहर क्यों नहीं जाते हो? तुम अंदर क्यों खेल रहे हो बैठे हुए? And that is where we actually connected with each other. हम दूसरे से काफी गपशप करते थे and everything like that. And when I started streaming, I started making new friends outside of Pakistan that were really good. जैसे अगर मैं if I talk about Singapore, I got to talk to Razer Seiren, जो बहुत अच्छा player है Street Fighter का for like a very long time. I got to know players from the US I have been playing for like a really long time, जो बहुत pro players हैं. So I got the recognition for there. So it wasn't really a very unique feeling for me. It was a very unique feeling when I was streaming. So when I was going to Singapore, I kind of knew that there would be some people like studying me. कि यार यहाँ से player आ रहा है definitely, because when you're playing at a high level, it kind of makes sense of हर एक को study करें बैठ के. Whatever, it doesn't matter. Even if you're like an unknown player, you still should study your opponent. जिस तरह भी होता है ये. So when I got out, when I started playing my pools, to be more specific, I had like I would say it wasn't like a very strong pool, but it was a strong pool. I was playing against like जो दुनिया के best players from their respective regions. Like I had Libya, I had Iraq, I had Brunei, I had Brazil, and another country was I forgot the name. एक और country थी हमारी इसमें. So they were like the best players from their respective countries. And when I started like winning like 3-0 से भी जीत रहा हूँ, 3-0 से भी जीत रहा हूँ, like all of a sudden all of the attention was on me. That like how is he like bodying everyone like like that. And when they saw my match with Brazil, they were like, wow, okay, this guy just beat the person who's like the best player in Brazil, and he's also playing CPT next year. जो आपका Street Fighter का सबसे बड़ा tournament होता है, he's being invited to US, वहाँ जाके वो खेलेगा बैठ के. So then all of a sudden like everyone was like, okay, like ये कहाँ से आया? ये Pakistan again? Oh wow, again Pakistan, great. That's just great. that was literally the first reaction I got from people like, where are you from? I'm from Pakistan. Oh my God, are you serious? Pakistan? Like, yeah, I'm from Pakistan. Okay, so Pakistan in Street Fighter now. I'm like, I hope so. So like this was like the first reaction I got from many people, and it made me happy that like the world recognizes Pakistan for this. Like they're very underdogs. They're like very talented people. So like them aate and then they just take the spotlight or whatever it is. Exactly. So yeah, that was a very different feeling when the player from Brazil, Ronaldinho, approached me, when the player from China, Gamer, approached me, when Mena already approached me, and like 2-3 more pro, because I have never had interaction with these guys. मैं हमेशा उनको like screen पे देखता रहा हूँ playing like big tournaments. So that was like a very unique experience कि यार मुझे देख भी रहे हैं, मतलब मेरे साथ interaction भी कर रहे हैं, हाल चाल पूछ रहे हैं, कहाँ के हो यार, कहाँ से निकले हो तुम, where are you from all of a sudden? Like, is this like your first tournament or whatever it is? Like, yeah, it's my first tournament. So that was definitely a good experience. Like to actually interact with your heroes, I would say, जिनके साथ आप पूरी जिंदगी बैठ के सिर्फ देखते रहो टीवी के ऊपर कि यार क्या कर रहे हैं, क्या नहीं कर रहे. So my pools, I don't know how, but I did really good in my pools, and I was like, I came first in my pools, and I was very happy कि यार पाकिस्तान लिखा रहा है कि pool एक अंदर पाकिस्तान top के ऊपर है. I haven't lost a single game, so that made me like really happy as well. And Istan, then like even players started recognizing कि यार maybe Pakistan really is as good as people say when it comes to talent. Like ये लोग कहाँ से निकल आते हैं? But like they have no infrastructure over there, they have no internets over there. Like look, like people usually like think about it as कि हम पता नहीं किसी गांव में रहते हैं, desert में रहते हैं. We have no access to these
misconceptions.
Yeah, so it was definitely a really good feeling. Uske baad, when the top 8 came, and when I got to like hear that everyone is nervous that yeah, ye bahut acha player hai. Like they were actually shaking like when Brandon played me, when another person played me. So it was like really good. Like like to know that people are watching you and people that they actually fear you for like where you're from. Like they were not worried about what my IGN was, what my in-game name was. They were just worried about, oh, it's Pakistan. You just have to be careful when you're playing against Pakistan because you don't know where they're
So
going to do.
anything can happen.
Yeah, exactly. But it was a really good feeling. Like everyone was watching you, and I think like the best feeling for me was that like our Street Fighter group actually got recognized over there. Like they were not just talking about me; they were talking about like the Pakistan FGC. Like the FGC in Pakistan is very strong. Because if this guy can play his first event and come third, like his first international event, playing with all the best players in the world, and he's coming like third, like I wonder who else is going to pop up from Pakistan and take the first place. You never know. So it was a really good feeling, I would say. Like everyone had their eyes on Pakistan, I would say, which made me really happy. It wasn't just about me; it was about Pakistan back then. So it was definitely a really good feeling.
Acha, there's one thing that I noticed in one of the tweets, and you mentioned an entity called Fear Legends.
Yeah.
I mean, you are a representative of that team, so can you just fill us in as to what this organization is all about, how they've supported your journey?
Fear Legends, I'll talk about Fawad. I recently got to know that Fawad was in the same batch as my brother, and we were really close friends. I remember we used to play Dota together, we used to play basketball together. So when he approached me, and I kind of noticed that, Fawad, is that you from like serious school? He's like, yeah. I'm like, bro, what are you doing? And he just asked me if you would like to represent us. I was like, yeah, sure. Because if it's an organization with your like, a really good friend, then absolutely I would do anything for it. And he wanted to expand into the fighting games as well. So I was more than willing to help him out. That okay, anything for the community, that's what I'm here for. So if I talk about the support, they've always supported me mentally, I would say. Like they've always like helped me out that if you're going, you're gonna win. All the best. Just do what you're doing, you're gonna win. And like that is how my journey with them actually began. Like we don't really talk much because they're mostly into Valorant or Dota. They just came into fighting games, so I don't really have much interaction with them. But with Fawad, I have like really good interaction with him. I usually share things with him and stuff like that. So Fear Legends, absolutely. Another organization I would give like, and a certain member of that group called Saqib Shaukat, because he's the one who made all of this possible. He literally funded for my ticket, for my visa, for my staying. He managed literally everything. Like, even the things that even I did not know, like if I'm supposed to travel somewhere. So Fear Legends is definitely there, but the person that I would really bring on top is Sakib Shaukat for sure, because without him, this wouldn't have been possible at all. He literally took out, like, I would say 2 months, and he prepared for this entire thing because we were not getting our visas because of, post COVID and everything. Singapore was hit by the next variant, so on and so on. We were like, and plus पाकिस्तानियों के लिए वीजा लेना वैसे बड़ा मुश्किल काम होता है. कहते हैं पता नहीं यार, अब बात पता चले आए यार, यहाँ से जाए मत उसके बाद फिर वो भी बड़ी मुसीबत रहती है हम लोगों के लिए. So all of this, like this hassle, he was the one who like literally solved everything. Like with कभी किसी को call कर रहा है, कभी किसी को call करे, कुछ कर रहे, किसी minister के through बात करा रहे हैं किसी की. I mean, he's involving the government of Pakistan. Ki yaar, just send these guys outside. They deserve to play on big stage. If they won the qualifiers and everything, they should be going out to play. So, like, without him, I think, like, I can just go on and on about him. Like, without him, it's not possible. But it's the fact. It's the reality over here. कि जिस तरह इनकी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन ने हम लोगों को सपोर्ट किया और जिस तरह इन्होंने हमें सपोर्ट किया, हमें लिटरली अपने शोल्डर से बैठा के लेके गए, लाइक कि यार नीचे ना गिर जाना, मिट्टी में ना गिर जाना, बस ऊपर से जो मिट्टी हम लोग खा लेते हैं, कोई मसला नहीं. तो लाइक द वे दे एक्चुअली लाइक कैरिड अस, दे पोर्ट्रेड अस, वहां जाके हमें जो मेंटल सपोर्ट दी है और हर चीज का हमारा ख्याल रखा है वहाँ पे, आई थिंक दे एक्चुअली डिजर्व ऑल द प्रेज, आई वुड से, फॉर दिस थिंग. एंड दे आर स्टिल ट्राइंग कि हम पाकिस्तान ई स्पोर्ट्स को किस तरीके से आगे लेके आए. I think that I honestly feel that Pakistan Esports Federation, हमारी जो PSF है, it's one of the major units when it comes to esports in Pakistan. And I think in another like a few months, you will definitely hear a lot about these guys because they have really well-renowned connections with the world, not just Pakistan. Like if you go out, I was surprised when they told me that they had a really good relation with esports in Singapore, that they have a good relation with esports in Dubai and in Morocco, in Algeria, and in different parts of the world. So like even their aim is the same, that they want to bring all of the entire esports organization under one platform and wahi se aage leke chalein cheez ko. So if you haven't heard of them right now, I'm pretty dead sure that you guys are going to hear them after maybe like let's say 5 to 6 months. That PSF is like biggest esports federation in Pakistan. So Fear Legends definitely there. But PESF all the way, I would say, was बहुत support किया लोगों ने. To be very honest, like literally from your meals to your travel to your stay, आपकी जो gear आपने पहनना है, आपको जो excessive सामान है, whatever it is, like they took care of it over there. So a huge shout outs to PESF for sure for this thing.
The UFC का एक reference दूंगा. There is this one thing that Dana White says, and that is, if you didn't know, now you know. So for every one of you who didn't know about PESF, now you know. And again, for anyone who is doing any kind of contribution when it comes to esports in Pakistan, and आप जिस तरह से बता रहे हो कि these guys have facilitated essentially everything when it comes to your journey. So I think that deserves a lot of praise from all quarters or from the entire FGC, because these are the kind of individuals, these are the kind of organizations that are essentially creating this entire ecosystem of gamers coming out of Pakistan. And these are the kind of case studies we need, because there is a lot of helplessness अगर आप feel करो, आप किसी से बात करो कि यार पाकिस्तान में ये चीज़ें नहीं है. So there's a lot of negativity, but I think what needs to be highlighted are individuals and organizations like this. क्योंकि once you understand कि यार not all hope is lost, maybe there are individuals who are at the brink of deciding whether to pursue this as a career or not. And maybe that's the break, that's the organization that can help them reconsider. So for a lot of people, अगेन वही वाली बात है कि अगर आपको नहीं पता था, अब आपको पता चल गया है, सपोर्ट करें इनको. वही वाली बात है, आई डोंट थिंक द सपोर्ट इज ओनली लिमिटेड टू फाइनेंशियल्स. गिव देम अ फॉलो, लेट देम नो दैट यू आर देयर फॉर देम. एंड आई थिंक फॉर अ लॉट ऑफ केसेस, इवन गेम खेल की अगर हम बात करें, फाइनेंशियली वी हैव नॉट मेड अ सेंट, बट the fact that there's so much support from the FGC community, even though हमने शायद 4 interviews किए उस community के साथ, and you're the 5th one, even though it's a very different game altogether. But मजेदार चीज़ ये थी कि the entire Game 1 esports की team, everyone who was there knew what GameKheyl was. So that was very surprising to me. And they were taking me at a very high regard. They had me as a speaker right there. So that was very surprising and very something that is now driving me forward. So, मेरे तो छोटा सा initiative, these guys are doing it at a very high level. Give them all the support they need, and again, they're going to give you returns in with a lot of interest, to be honest. So again, a huge shout out to PSF, to Fear Legends, and for everyone who's doing anything for gaming in Pakistan, so to say. Acha. So I think coming towards a few final questions, I'm sure while you were pursuing this, there were a lot of people that you looked up to. चाहे वो आपकी अपनी कम्युनिटी से हम बात करें, चाहे वो दूसरी कम्युनिटीज की बात करें. There must be people who must be your idols, your heroes. Then there must be people you must have interacted with, जिनके साथ आपने खेला होगा. Local scene में भी जो आपके kryptonites हैं. So then there's always this one person who's the boogeyman, जिसको आप कहते हो यार सबको पीट दिया, एक बंदे को किस तरह से मैं आ रहा हूँ. And then there are individuals which you think would be the next big thing, maybe the next guest at GameKheyl. So if there are any shout-outs, if there's anyone you would want to recognize, the mic is all yours.
In the Pakistan scene, I would definitely give shout-outs to a player from Karachi called Z Qureshi. I think he is very talented. And whenever I play with him, I always get this feeling that, I'm not better than him and he's not better than me. We're just playing on the same level because the way he plays the game is very good. Another person I would definitely say is Nomi Ages. He's from Lahore. He's very talented as well in Street Fighter 5. Then we have another young player called Hassan Vanessa from Karachi. He's a very good KF player, but who recently got into Street Fighter as well. Even I think he's a very strong player in Pakistan. And, there's a very long list, I would say, but, I don't want to hurt some people and, I don't want to favor some people as well. But in my eyes, I think that these guys are very strong. Even my friend, my brother who I trained with, ex-fighter, Amjad Ahmed, he's also very strong in Street Fighter. But he just doesn't have that motivation to play anymore. So I still have really high regard for him. Because whenever we play in tournaments, I pray that I don't play against him. Because he just knows the way I play. He knows my habits. He knows, because we train a lot. He knows everything about me. So if there's one person I don't want to play in tournaments, is my training partners for sure. And if I talk about my goals, how I set my goals, who I want to pursue first, the first person that I recognized in Pakistan was Vector Nukex. Because I had heard of him from Street Fighter 4, so he was my first target when it came that, इस बंदे को पहले मैंने इस यहाँ तक पहुँचना है किस तरीके से मैंने. So he was my first level. कि यार मैंने किसी के इस तक पहुँचना है मैंने. The next level, when I actually got there, I was like, okay, now I want to get to Nemo's level. Nemo is the person who I actually got into this thing. You can follow him on Twitter, Nemo_good. He doesn't speak English, but he's a Japanese player, so he's my next target, I would say. And uske alawa, there are a lot of people that I have really high regard for, and I really learn from them a lot. Jaise agar main koi aur international naam do, Big Bird, Angry Bird, GTR, these guys are from UAE and they are very strong players. अगर हम पाकिस्तान की बात करते हैं तो just these two players, they literally went to USA और पूरे US के लोग हिला के आ गए इसके यार ये लोग कहाँ से आ गए, ये मुसलमान भी क्या चीजें हैं यार मतलब so even they're very strong players, they're players that I really want to reach to, मैं उनके level पे खेलना चाहता हूँ जाके. And then you have players from USA like Punk, IDOM, they're one of the strongest players in the world जिनको बोला जाता है, I want to go at their level as well and see how they are. Then there are Japanese players like Daigo. If you're part of the FGC, you definitely know who Daigo is. So getting on these levels, it's one step at a time. You take one step and you get to the next level. Then you train yourself, you get to the next level. कभी ये नहीं होता कि यार बस मैंने यहाँ से start किया बस मैंने highest level पहुँचना है एकदम मेरे. No, you have to be logical in this. You have to take certain steps. फिर आप आहिस्ता ऊपर जाते हो जाके. So my step was to overcome to be the best in Pakistan. I got there somehow. I don't know. Then my best was कि I want to be the best in the Gulf region. आपका जो बनता है जिसमें आपका ओमान आ गया, अल्जीरिया आ गया, आपका ये UAE आ जाता है इसके अंदर. जो इसका कुछ tournaments भी हुए, and there was a few tournaments which I ranked really high. There were a few tournaments that I came first, and there's some tournaments where second भी आया, third भी आया, but I played against the best players from their respective regions. So अभी मेरा फिलहाल aim है कि मैंने Gulf को पकड़ना है. I want to play. And Gulf के अंदर जो आपके सबसे बेस्ट प्लेयर्स आप बनते हैं, आपके एक बिग बर्ड है, और आपका एक एंग्री बर्ड बनता है जो स्ट्रीट फाइटर के अंदर आता है. So like my next like level is get on their level now. Because there's a saying कि I don't know if this is like a good saying or a bad saying, but अगर आपने किसी को हरा दिया ना और मैंने आपको हरा दिया, it means मैंने दोनों प्लेयर को हरा दिया मैंने वहाँ पे. तो it's a really good thing पाकिस्तान में करते हैं. जैसे बड़ी at times हम हंसते हैं इस चीज के ऊपर. Like my training partner and my a really good friend Ismail, कि जब Ismail अमजद को हराता है my training partner को, तो he's like अगर मैंने तुम्हें हरा दिया मैंने अहमद को ऑटोमेटिकली हरा दिया, इसका मतलब है. तो so it's something like that. So maybe कहता हूँ कि यार if I can beat the birds, I can beat the world. It means automatically, because if they can beat anyone and I can beat them, it means that maybe I have a chance to play against best players in the world as well. So one step at a time. Like Pakistan, I'm happy that I became the best Pakistan. People look up to me. They ask me for guidance. They ask me for knowledge, for scrims, for practice. All that. But now it's like the next step is like Pakistan se bahar nikalna hai, which I got an opportunity. I played for like the best players in the world. So so that gave me like a really good, I would say, a boost. Like I'm very hyped up कि यार अगर मैं इनके साथ खेल सकता हूँ तो मैं definitely सबके साथ खेल सकता हूँ फिर. So it's like I said, one step at a time. And some players मैंने mention किए हैं कि I really look up to these guys and I really want to play with these guys. Just see where I stand if I play with them. So these are the players that I would definitely like give a huge shout outs to or just talk about generally.
All right. So just one final question. And again, like you mentioned, you've set some benchmarks for yourself. आप कुछ goals आपने अपने लिए रख लिए हैं कि those are the kind of goals that you want to accomplish. And essentially, that's exactly the kind of model that we're trying to do here at GameKheyl. This is something that we discussed before the call, that we're trying to incrementally build one step at a time.
Yeah.
अपने आप milestones को accomplish करते जाएं, and then you move on from there. So I'm pretty sure that you must have an end goal in mind as well, like the epitome of where you want to be in terms of gaming. And then again, Jessica, I was going through your profile, so you're an avid streamer as well. So are there any goals that you've set for yourself, let's say for next 3 to 5 years, that you would want to take off and accomplish?
I wouldn't say 3 to 5 years. I would say that my goal always has been कि मैंने जाके the biggest fighting game tournament है, it's called Evo. Like okay, Evolution होता है आपका जो fighting game का सबसे बड़ा tournament होता है. When I started the game, my dream was to play Evo and to actually win it. Like and we saw Arslan winning it, and it was something really good to watch. So my end game is definitely Evo if it comes to Street Fighter 5. Okay, that is like my my milestone. This is where I have to reach somehow. So inshallah, next year I am planning for Evo. I am planning to travel as well. If it's like through PESF or if it's through any sponsors, if it's through my own pocket if I have to. But I plan to travel next year a lot because US ka event aega, so hopefully I think it's going to be like end of the year or maybe close to end of the year. And that's like the biggest tournament that you can actually play. So Evo is my benchmark, I would say. Like if I win Evo, I would say, okay, I'm done with Street Fighter now. Now I'm going to move on to the next game and see where I go there. So next year, definitely एक तो Street Fighter 5 Evo खेलना है. New fighting game is coming up. And let's see how it goes. Benchmarks आपके set होते रहते हैं. It just depends कि if you really, because Street Fighter is something that I really got into and I really love the game despite having so many the hate factor on this game. मैं फिर भी बहुत ज़्यादा खेलता हूँ. So benchmark is definitely Evo. But it's like I said, you take one step at a time. आहिस्ता आहिस्ता एक जगह पे पहुंचते हो. So next year I'm trying to like take not just steps but take leaps. एक सीढ़ी पे आप एक तो step रखते हैं और अब leap करके ऊपर जाते हैं. So next year मेरा भी aim है कि I've taken small steps. Let's take big steps and see how far I can go up. Then what's the worst that can happen, right? या मैं ऊपर चढ़ जाऊंगा या मैं नीचे गिर जाऊंगा. So we'll definitely see कि next year क्या होता है इसका. But yeah, Evo definitely. It's my dream to play Evo. It's my dream to win Evo as well. So that is the benchmark that I have set for Street Fighter 5 next year.
I think in terms of ambition, that is something that is very remarkable because बहुत सारे लोग शायद इसी चांस पे या सेल्फ डाउट का शिकार हो जाते हैं कि यार am I good enough या फिर मैं इस काबिल हूँ कि नहीं हूँ. और even before you enter the tournament, you're already defeated in your own mind.
Exactly.
And you need that kind of tenacity, you need that kind of grit and determination कि यार जाएंगे देख लेंगे जो होना है होगा. What's the worst that could happen? Because at the end of the day, if nothing, that would be a great learning experience. And
Yeah, exactly.
when you have that learning mindset, you can always grow from it. You can always improve upon it. So I'm really happy to hear the positivity that's coming out of you personally, and I really hope कि जो भी आपने अपने mission set किए हैं, on behalf of GameKheyl, I would definitely be there rooting for you. And personally, मेरा बस एक शिकवा इस community के साथ यही रहा है कि यार you have very good representatives here. And I've been running this platform for the last 6 months, and unfortunately, you're the first player from this community जिसके बारे में मुझे पता चला. And that again only happened because you were able to reach a certain level of success.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
I think even with all the things that would be considered as complaints, I think now the door is open. The opportunities are out there, and for everyone who's mentioned them, especially when it comes to the SF5 community, GameKheyl is a platform that is always going to be available to you if you want to let yourself known to the world, or if you want to connect with other individuals like the one we have here today. So the platform is always going to be open. And again, बात यही होती है कि यार marketability, skill sets, all of these things can be developed over time. But if you have an opportunity in front of you, you have to knock the door open. आप किसी भी तरह आप उस लेवल पे अपने आप को पहुंचाने के लिए, you have to build that network. You have to be available, and आप सिर्फ ले नहीं सकते, you have to contribute back as well, because that's how symbiosis work. और आपको वो एक dual link relationship बनाना पड़ता है. And I think this is exactly how this community is going to grow. This is exactly how we're going to overcome all the challenges. And I believe with the conversation that we have had with Amu today, that's exactly the trajectory that inshallah is going to bring us a lot of success here. So again, Amu, it was an absolute pleasure to have this conversation with you again. Before this interview, there was a lot of things that I didn't know about the community, and I have some idea, some perspective on how things are, and inshallah how we are going to help grow this. So before we end this interview, any final thoughts?
First of all, thank you so much for having me here, for having my voice heard. You know, लोग usually कहते हैं कि तुम क्या बहुत बातें करते हो, ना बातें क्या करो, just play your game, don't talk much. So it's definitely good to be heard. And it's like I said, whatever I do, it's for my FGC, right? If I represent them, I will do my best to represent them. And it's like you said, you should give back, and that's how it should be. You learn something from them and you give it back to them. It's how it should always been. And Baki, it's been a great pleasure over here, and I hope that we can all be under the same platform. We all have the same goals and same aims, and एक चीज को बस आगे लेके चल पड़े. But it's like you said, the doors are open. It just depends कि आप जाके दरवाजा किस तरह खोलते हो. जाके आप उसको लात मार के खोलते हो, प्यार से खोलते हो, या आप कहते हो कि बस खुला हुआ दरवाजा मुझे मिल जाए. You have to work and go through there. दरवाजा तो आप खुला हुआ है, अब अपने दरवाजे के थ्रू जाके आगे जाके क्या करना है, that's what your goals will determine आगे जाके. So once again, it's been a pleasure to have this talk, I would say, with you. And I'm really happy that there's so many organizations that they're working for the same thing. They're working for esports, they're working for the FGC or whatever it is. But it just really makes me happy that like finally we're getting somewhere, aista aista. So it's been really swell to be here, definitely.
Again, the pleasure is all ours, to be honest, because individuals like yourself, with the success, with the positivity, I think that's going to take this entire community and gaming and esports in Pakistan to another level. Again, with GameKheyl, that's the approach. We want to make gaming mainstream. And when the only way we'll be able to accomplish that is to have the best of us be at the best places at the right time. And inshallah, moving forward, there's a lot of plans in place. There's a lot of things that we would want to accomplish. Before we end this interview, again, a big thank you to Amu for joining us. It's almost 4 a.m, and we've made him stay up late on a Sunday. वैसे तो late ही उठते हैं सारे यहाँ पे, मुझे पता है, but खैर होती है. All the links. He's a streamer. Go give him some love on Twitch. इनके links सारे जो हमारे पास share होंगे. He's also pretty active on Twitter. So give him all the love. We are going to get all of his social details down. They are going to be present in the description. Also for GameKheyl, there's a lot of way you can support us. The drill. Like, share, share, subscribe बताने की ज़रूरत नहीं है. We do interviews like this with the UFC community abroad, combat esports की हो, चाहे वो पाकिस्तान के अंदर आपके पास FGC हो. We have also done interviews with local streamers. So we are trying to get as many people in the fold as possible. Again, it is only possible because of your support. If you think you can take your support to the next level, we have our Patreon set as well now. So you can support us on Patreon. Otherwise, if nothing, सिर्फ अपनी दुआएं आप हमें दे दें, हमारे लिए वो भी काफ़ी है. But again, thank you for watching this interview, and hopefully next time, whenever we have another guest, you will be there with us. So for the final time today, this is Naveed and Amu signing off, and hope to see you guys real soon with the next interview. Allah Hafiz.
Hafiz.